At the edge of a vast and whispering forest lived an old man named Harold. His hair was white, his face carved by time, yet his eyes were sharp and fearless. He owned 4 large, powerful cows, Bran, Mora, Slate, and Ash. They were not ordinary cattle. They were strong, disciplined, and loyal, as if they understood the dangers of the land they walked upon. Every morning before sunrise, Harold picked up his old wooden stick and led the cows into the forest to graze. The villagers warned him again and again. "Old man, the forest is not safe. Tigers roam there." But Harold only smiled. He had walked this path for decades. The forest knew him, and he knew the forest. The trees stood tall, like silent guards, blocking the sun. The air was heavy with the smell of grass and damp earth. He had faced danger here before. More than once, a tiger had tried to attack his cows. Each time, Harold had stepped forward, struck his stick against the ground, shouted, and chased the beast away with noise and courage. The tiger feared not the stick, but the man who refused to retreat. That afternoon, the forest grew strangely quiet. No birds sang, no wind moved. Bran lifted his head. Slate stomped the ground. Ash drifted closer to the trees. Harold felt it. Danger was near. From behind the bushes, 2 glowing eyes appeared. A tiger, larger than any before. Silent, patient. Harold stepped in front of his cows and raised his stick. "Go back," he said calmly. The tiger did not move. For the first time in many years, Harold understood. This forest was about to test him again, and this time, the fight would not be so simple. The tiger did not attack that day. It stood still, its amber eyes locked on Harold, studying him with a patience that felt more dangerous than anger. After a long, heavy moment, it turned and vanished into the trees without a sound. Harold did not lower his stick immediately. He waited until the forest breathed again, until the birds cautiously returned and the leaves began to whisper. Only then did he guide the cows back toward the village. That night, Harold did not sleep. He sat outside his hut, the stick across his knees, staring into the darkness of the forest. He had chased away many tigers before, but this one was different. It did not fear noise. It did not rush. It watched. It learned. The next morning, Harold returned to the forest as always. The cows followed, but their steps were slower. Even Mora, usually calm, seemed uneasy. The clearing looked the same, green grass, tall trees, but something invisible had changed. The tiger was closer now. A sudden crack of a branch echoed from the left, then another from the right. The cows tightened together, their heavy bodies forming a circle. Harold stepped forward, gripping his stick with both hands. The tiger emerged fully this time. Its body was scarred, its muscles thick and powerful. This was not a young hunter. This was a survivor. It roared. The sound shook the clearing. Harold struck his stick against a tree, then the ground, shouting with all the strength left in his chest. For a moment, neither moved. Then the tiger lunged, not at Harold but toward Ash. By midday, hunger pushed them forward. Harold took his stick, longer and heavier than before, and tied a strip of red cloth near its top. Not for the tiger, but to remind himself that courage must be seen as well as felt. The forest greeted them with tension. Every shadow seemed deeper. Every sound felt closer. The cows grazed, but they did not relax. Then it happened. A sudden roar burst from behind the trees, closer than ever before. The tiger charged without warning, its claws tearing the earth as it ran. Harold stepped forward, but his foot slipped. The stick struck a rock and flew from his hand. Time slowed. The tiger leaped. Bran moved first. With a thunderous bellow, the massive cow lowered his head and charged, slamming into the tiger's side. Mora followed, striking with her horns. Slate stomped and roared, while Ash stood frozen in fear. The tiger tumbled, stunned but not defeated. Harold grabbed his stick and shouted, striking the ground again and again. The noise, the resistance, the unexpected unity of man and beast confused the predator. Wounded and furious, the tiger retreated into the forest. Harold collapsed to his knees. His hands trembled. His breath came in painful gasps. For the first time, blood ran down his arm. The cows stood around him, not as animals, but as guardians. Harold looked at them and understood the truth he had long ignored. This fight was no longer his alone, and next time, the forest would demand a greater price. Each night, he dreamed of glowing eyes in the dark and the sound of earth tearing beneath powerful claws. When he woke, his hand reached for the stick before his mind was fully awake. Still, he returned to the forest, not because he was brave, but because retreat would teach fear. The cows sensed the change in him. Bran stayed closer than ever. Mora never let Ash wander. Slate watched the trees with quiet fury. That afternoon, dark clouds gathered above the forest. The air grew heavy and thunder rolled far away. Harold felt it deep inside his chest. This was the day. The tiger did not hide this time. It stepped into the clearing openly, rain beginning to fall on its striped back. Its body bore fresh scars, and so did Harold. Man and beast faced each other in silence. No roaring, no shouting. The forest waited. The tiger took a step forward. So did Harold. He raised his stick, not in anger, but in acceptance. He knew now that fear could not drive the tiger away forever. Only balance could. With a sudden crack of thunder, the tiger charged. The cows reacted instantly. Bran and Slate blocked his path. Mora struck the ground with her horns. Ash, no longer afraid, moved behind Harold. Harold swung his stick, not wildly, but with purpose. He struck the earth, the air, the space between them, making himself larger than his body allowed. Rain poured, mud splashed. The tiger hesitated. Then, slowly, it stepped back. Not defeated, not afraid, acknowledging. With one final look, the tiger turned and disappeared into the storm. Harold lowered his stick. The forest had made its decision. This land would not belong to one hunter alone, and some victories are won not by strength, but by standing your ground. The forest was quiet again, but not the same quiet as before. It was calmer, older, as if something had settled deep within its roots. Harold felt it the moment he stepped on the familiar path. His steps were slower now, his breath heavier, yet his heart was light. The cows walked beside him, not behind. Bran's head was high. Mora's eyes were steady. Slate moved with confidence. Ash, once fearful, now walked closest to Harold's side. One morning, Harold stopped at the edge of the clearing and did not move. The cows turned toward him. He leaned on his stick and smiled. "This is far enough," he whispered. For the first time, he did not enter the forest. The cows grazed near the edge of the clearing, safe under the open sky. The forest watched from afar, respectful and silent. That evening, Harold sat outside his hut as the sun sank low. His stick rested beside him, worn smooth by years of courage. He had not defeated the forest, he had lived with it, and that was enough. Long after Harold's footsteps faded from the forest paths, the villagers told his story, not as a tale of fighting a tiger, but of a man who stood his ground long enough for the wild to understand him. Some say that even now, deep in the forest, a tiger walks a different path, remembering the old man who never ran.